Yeah, good morning, YouTube. So this is the wireless thermometer. I have the out reading, the one on the bottom, 7.9 C, is the temperature in my 3D printer filament storage container. So the dry box that I built last year for that. And the humidity in the filament dry box is holding pretty steady, 23%. As it warms up, the humidity drops down to like 20 or 21%. So yeah, it keeps the humidity pretty low even though it's cold up there. The filament dry storage box is working well, and the enclosure I built for the 3D printer is working, and I'm able to print on a really cold winter day without any issues. I'm printing ABS filament, so that's a rather temperature and moisture sensitive filament, and no problems at all. It prints just the same here in the middle of winter as it did in the middle of summer. So yeah, I'll show you what the printer looks like running over here.
Okay, here's a look at the printer. This is the webcam in the printer build chamber. We're printing away. I just warmed up the build plate for probably a good 20 minutes before I started printing, just to make sure the air above the build plate was reasonably warm. And then I fired up the extruder for a couple of minutes and then started a print, and looks like we're getting good adhesion there. Printing some parts for my business today. But yeah, the enclosure is working quite well. And that was, I guess, the main reason I built that enclosure, because if it's 7 or 8 degrees, and if it's that cold up there, it would be really hard to print something like ABS plastic, which is very sensitive to temperature when you print it out. So yeah, that's working quite well. Yeah, we got about 5 hours of printing going here, so printing during the day when I have solar power to use up here. But yeah, just an update, and also the BuildTak. You can see it's getting kind of beat up here. I've been printing on this particular sheet of BuildTak for, probably a good 6 months now, and it looks like it's still holding up. The adhesive is starting to pull up in spots, so it's probably getting to the point where I need to replace it, but it seems to be doing quite well. And let's see, one other update here. Let me bring up my filament page here. So the last roll of filament I did, this filament roll number 3, the third column was the last row of the pearl filament that I used. Row 40 has been the calculated or estimated filament weight that comes out of Cura. So the first roll of the pearl filament came out at 1169, the second one at 1157, and that's the one I did an earlier video on, where I actually weighed the before and after weight of the spool, and the actual weight was 964 grams. So this ratio there is apparently pretty consistent. Apparently, Cura overestimates the amount of or mass of filament that's actually used. So the idea is, once I get up close to 1,000 grams estimated, that's when I start checking the spool of filament in my filament container. And when I start seeing the last few wraps of filament on the spool, then I start printing smaller prints. Like you can see here, I was printing large 90, 50, 90, 50, 70, and then I dropped down to printing, instead of 4 parts, I might only print 1 at a time, just so that if I run out of filament, I'm only wasting the last print. In fact, this one you can see where I went down 23, 12, 12, and then down to 7 before I ran out. That spreadsheet works pretty good for tracking filament consumption. It's just, in my case, it's a little bit difficult to go up and look at the roll of filament in my container. I kind of have to climb back behind the printer. It's not the most easy thing to get to. So this way I don't have to look at the filament until I get up to, say, around 1,000 gram estimate. But yeah, that's been working pretty good. So I kind of use the spreadsheet to track the filament, and then I can use my webcam here to track the printing. So anyway, I just wanted to give you an update on the 3D printer. This is the Type A machine, Series 1 Pro, using the custom enclosure that I built last year. Have any questions about that? Post up in the comment section below down here. I'll maybe put some links to my 3D printing playlist up here in the upper right corner. And as always, thanks for watching.